Hi,
Hi.
welcome to another episode of this lecture
Show.
show. I was going to say magazine, but show.
Yeah.
This
I'm Lucy.
I'm Tahira. I'm so glad you guys could join us for this episode.
Yeah.
This one's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
We are talking about social media.
Let's
The
get into
double-edged
it.
sword called social media.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to, we're aware, we can talk for hours about this. When we
Hours.
were talking about the research for this show, we took up most of the time we'd allocated to content plan. So being mindful, want to get really into
That's
it.
it. Yeah.
Social media. Oh my God, what a big monster and what a big angel.
Yeah.
There's-
For people who didn't grow up with social media,
Right.
Facebook. It
But
started
I
off with
think
Facebook.
even for kids today, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So social media, really quickly, the negatives, because that's what everybody really goes on and on about today. The negatives are depression, online bullying has increased.
Yes.
This idea of perfectionism with all the posts that we put up,
Yes.
the delusion about it.
Oh, yes.
We'll talk the impact of on self-worth with social media, the rise of social media, the loss of privacy. We're going to get into
And
these.
the demise of your relationships in person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's the positive parts of social media
Yes.
that are very rare when we talk about them. I mean, people do talk about them,
Right.
but much so less.
Right.
It's a great social change cause movement platform.
Yes.
The Me Too movement,
Yes. It allows.
Save Lives, Black Lives Matter, all of those
Yeah.
social media growth, right?
Yes. And-
Born
Yes, and the ability to get involved.
Right.
And share your.
There's
View.
it gives a voice to the underdog.
Right.
Increased connection in a way, right? Like you're able to now reach out to a much wider audience in different parts of the world and connect in such a different level.
From a business perspective as well as a personal, like you're
Right.
really able to stay in touch with people that live in Europe and Africa and
Right.
as
All
though
corners of the world.
Exactly,
Right?
as though
Like
they're
you're
sitting
able
right
to
next to you.
do great things. There's increased engagement in the same breath with connection, right? Like
Right.
you're able to do engagement. I mean, most recent movement with the Saudi young girl getting out of Saudi Arabia and
Yes.
home in Canada now. So, there's a wider reach to people.
Right.
There's all of that in terms of the positive part of it.
Yeah.
And I was reading an article that I was sharing with Lucy when we were content planning and researching for this, and there was this in the article they mentioned, why do people share on social media? And it was to support a cause,
Yeah.
or share valuable information or product and service reviews, to build a personal image and define themselves and who they are, which I thought was really interesting. They share on social media to interact, to grow, to feel a sense of fulfillment, and then to feel involved was the last reason that was in this article.
Right.
Um,
Which I think if we had the time, we could probably go through each of those
right,
and propose a contradiction.
right, absolutely. I mean, social media is great for the good things it does that we've mentioned, I'm more concerned with the negative impact it has.
Right.
I mean, it's supposed to be inclusive,
Right.
but it's also so exclusive.
There's been probably an even more divide
Right. I mean,
than
and,
we ever knew of.
and I'm concerned too about even with children born with social media.
Right.
Our self-worth is now being determined by the number of followers you have or the number of likes you get and the extent young people are going to post things to get that instant fame or whatever you want to call
Right.
it. And that's concerning. I'm
Agreed.
concerned because I don't want my child to grow up doing something bloody ridiculous in the name of her self-worth based on the number of likes.
Or
or-
popularity.
yeah.
Right.
And that's worrying. That's really worrying, And then I did ask Lucy, before I grew up with my mom saying the TV was the idiot box, right? Like you sat in front of the TV and you were an idiot. Are our phones becoming the new idiot box?
Or tablets. I agree.
Right? Like, are we walking like this and we're constantly connected, which is great. I mean, I live far away from my friends and my family, and it's a great means for me to be in touch with them. But I also think, is social media really social, or has it become a business platform?
So I think it's changed, and so what's interesting is that, you know, when social media began, or the way that we know it, it began with Twitter, and then it continued with Facebook, and now Facebook isn't social enough; it's more a business platform or a social initiative platform, and so we've moved on to Snapchat and Instagram, and there's always a new platform being created to create
more socialness.
But are we social? Like, are we really engaging? Do we know the businesses and the people?
So I know I remember when Facebook first released, and I was living in the UAE at this time, and it was a great way for me to be in touch with my friends in Kenya, my friends in Canada, my friends in the UK. It was the way I communicated with them, right? Because it was too expensive to call. It was too expensive to send a text message.
Right.
WhatsApp,
gone are the days of writing letters.
WhatsApp wasn't yet there.
Right.
I don't think it was when Facebook first came out. WhatsApp
Right.
wasn't there. There was BBM and these other
Right.
things, but the other person needed to have a BlackBerry, and there was all these
Right.
things. So Facebook was like, wow, right? Like, we'd come to email, but you'd have to wait. Facebook gave an instantaneous, like, I could post on somebody's wall, they could read it immediately. There wasn't Messenger yet then too, and it was great.
Yeah. You could share photos, and people felt like
and
they were
then
participating.
fast forward, I think maybe 2 or 3 years into Facebook, it slowly stopped being a means for me to be in touch with these people. And I don't know what it became. I still don't know what it is.
Right.
From a personal standpoint of view.
Right.
And if I'm to be really honest with everybody, I do use it for my business more than I do for my personal.
Right.
And now I've moved. I mean, of course, technology has evolved, so texting is easier and cheaper and free in some places. But WhatsApp is there, so I use that as a platform to connect and be social with my people.
Right.
Versus social media, really.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it allows a space to connect with a wider range of people. But I think the word social has been redefined with these platforms.
Yeah. Or has it? Because, one of the other things we read about in that article, we say that social media is used for social initiative and
Activism, in a way.
Your fundraising and responsibility, but they also use this activism versus slacktivism.
Right.
And I found that so interesting because do we really have a voice? Are we really using our voice to activate change, to promote change, or are we just hiding behind what the masses are doing?
Getting on the bandwagon, right? Like they say. I think it's a double-edged sword, which is really what makes it so interesting, because you could, for every negative, there's a positive. For every positive, there's a negative. And it's a real interesting fence to be on.
Right.
Because while there might be some people or spaces that are slacktivists, right? Just getting on from behind the screen, I think it also has created movements on a global level that would previously have taken a year or maybe even months. If it started in the United States, it would take months for it to transfer onto a place like India or Africa, a country in Africa, right? So I think with social media, like the Me Too, it moved so fast across the world, right? Like a country like India that's so patriarchal is now on this Me Too, and it took a little bit longer, but it's there.
Right. So I think social media created the platform.
Right.
And you become active if you can take it outside the platform and it's still you.
Right.
Whereas and you're not hiding. You're not hiding behind the computer writing insults or derogatory messages.
But it's given people like that too a voice and a space, and that's the trolling part of it, right? People that will sit and complain about what you're doing, no matter what
Right.
it is, whether your cause is just or unjust.
Right.
There is people who hide behind and will send messages
Right.
and will put you down and drag you down.
Right.
So it does give those people a voice too, but
Right.
then those people exist irrespective.
Right.
It's just maybe they feel powerful in that moment, and then
Right.
it's the choice of what you do with that,
Right.
right?
Fair enough.
I truly believe that. I mean, with the show too, with the work I do being online so much, I have been trolled. I have gotten people, and we've talked about this personally. And initially, it would affect me, and
Right.
it would really make me question the kind of person I am.
Right.
But I had to learn
Right.
that they could be people that were in a crowd if I was at a speaking engagement, or they're behind the computer. They're still going to exist.
Yes.
So I think that bit is going to be irrespective. One of the big things I want to talk about is privacy, and what has social media done to our privacy
Right.
in context of our professional lives versus our personal lives,
Yes.
and how gelled and mingled they are.
Yes.
And we were talking about
Yes.
this during the research phase.
Exactly. Do you think that an employer should use your social media to judge, because that's what they're doing, your capability and your
Basically, your capability to carry out the job that they're
Right.
hiring for. I mean, it's huge now. I know. I know now through my clients, through the people I work with in businesses, that they do go on the social media of the applicant, and it's become a huge factor in the decision-making phase
Right.
of whether somebody's hired or not. And they're checking out your values, what you're posting, if it's indicative of it's going to fit the corporate culture they're coming from, all these little things, right? I don't think I agree with it, especially because we're calling it social media.
and I just
Right?
wonder where the
It
line
takes
is
away
drawn.
that fun and being social. Like if you're using it solely for being in touch with your people and just as a really social platform,
Right.
it's out. And we talked about how you said you can't tell the context.
You
of
can't tell the
what-
context, and can you really identify who a person is, what their qualities, their skill set is by one photograph?
or one post.
Or one post, and people have used that and their careers have been destroyed by that one picture of a glass of wine sitting on the table, or drinking, or laughing, or dressing what someone would key as inappropriate for the office.
Right. So
So-
then has it given us as a society more ammunition to be more judgmental? Because that's what we're being.
Absolutely.
We're being more judgmental, right?
And so then what's the job interview really about? Is it about appearances? Because what you think, it's no secret that we post on social media what we want people to know. And sometimes
Or
it's not
see.
the truth. And it's often very blurred.
Right. The delusional part of it.
Right? And so if an employer is making a judgment on my skill set and my qualification based on that blurred vision of my life, how authentic really is the interview process?
I mean, that's a whole other can of
It
worms
is.
that we can talk about. But I think what's important to highlight with this is that can go on and we can have a whole other conversation about it,
can.
right? But I think what's important to highlight is then how social is it and how real is it, right? Because you pointed out rightly so that it's a blurred and we only put up what we want people to see. Hey, I'm guilty of putting out selfies that only make me look good in certain angles. And
Exactly.
I'll be the first to
No
own
one
it,
on
and-
Facebook has seen what I look like when I wake up in the morning.
and the people that are my people, I'm known as the selfie queen because every moment I'm
Right.
like ooh, right? And I've got and they make fun of me because I've got funny faces and I've got
Yeah.
spaces I hold the phone from. So how real and how true is it? But I think it's a little bit deeper than that. Like, I mean, if you were to ask me genuinely, I have got photos and I have done videos where I've got no makeup and I look like crap and I'm
course.
sick. So it depends, right? Like, it depends. Am I the intention of it now? And that's a much deeper conversation. Am I doing it because I want to fit in and I want to show people
Right.
that I am like this all the time?
Right.
or am I doing it for myself?
Right.
For in my case, genuinely, but because I have a no F attitude and I get in trouble for it sometimes, and I'm not by any means saying I'm good at it or anything,
Right.
but for me, it's about me. Like,
Right.
I am
And so-
narcissistic in the sense that I'm putting it for me. If I'm showing up without makeup, it's for me. If I'm
Right.
showing up, and it goes back to the first episode.
Right.
Um,
But we can say that even just creating this platform of you and I having this conversation, we're creating a show around being raw and real and having a conversation.
Right.
But if somebody who doesn't know me and is considering me for
Absolutely.
a role watches this episode or any episode we've done previously and said, I don't agree with that point of view, therefore she
Right.
doesn't fit the bill.
Right.
She doesn't fit. And so that will silence a lot of people.
Right.
If I'm being judged on.
But yeah, like I said, I think it's given ammo, right? The flip
Right.
side, it's given ammo for people to be more judgmental,
Right.
and hide behind their screens while doing it,
Right.
or not even being real about being judgmental, right? I
Right.
mean, we've talked about this before, but I've been subject to being rejected from being part of an organization because my headshots weren't right.
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 Yeah.
I didn't have the right look, or
Yes.
and I'm pretty sure this person went on my social media, and then I told you 6 months later I was like
Reconsidered.
not reconsidered, but I was stalked on Instagram by the same person and
Right.
the same, like
Yeah.
I think they're still a follower. I don't know, but I struggled at that point because it's the same thing.
Yes.
Like how much, but it's also then in the real world, how much do we stereotype based on what we see, right? Like I mean, double-edged sword.
Well, it's interesting that you use the word real to describe the real world.
Yeah,
Because social
but
media,
it's virtual. But that's what we don't
But-
realize. Social media is so virtual.
but it's also quite, yeah, is it real?
Mm.
Anyway, we can go on, but maybe,
Right.
maybe we'll leave that with you and you can share your opinions about.
Social media. I mean, it's such a bigger, larger conversation to be had, and we've just
Yes.
again scratched
Scratch
the
the
surface
surface.
with this,
Yeah.
right? And we've talked. But I do want to say again, it's not just the negative bit
No,
of it.
there's
There
a
is
place.
so much positive in social media. I mean,
Yes.
we're reaching out through the show
Of course,
on social media, so there's great uses
there's a
for it.
platform for our voice.
Yes. I would like to leave it with what is the intention you use your social
Yeah.
media for? And that's our phone call
That's
to
our
say
phone.
bye-bye. No, I'm
Bye.
kidding.
Thanks to our sponsors,
Yes.
Croc Company, Authentic Factor, and Glam Jewels. Share your thoughts, share your opinions. We
We
want to
hear what you have to say about
Yeah.
social media. Like, what
Yeah.
do you feel about the whole thing? And again, if it's done something great for you, negative for you, whatever it
Yeah.
is, we want to hear it. Get into the conversation with us. And we'll see you next week for another Wearing episode.
Yeah, have a great day.
Love and
Thanks for tuning in.
light. Bye.
Bye.